Hello, I'm Eve Jackson, and this is Culture. My guest today is one of the world's leading photojournalists. She's managed to penetrate worlds most of us do not know. Her work in prisons with prostitutes and the victims of landmines have been published and exhibited worldwide. The award-winning Jane Evelyn Atwood is my guest today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, let's start, though, before we have a chat, to look at a collection of some of your work.
Okay.
Well, Jane, thank you very much for joining us here today on France 24. I just wanted to start by asking you, the project that first brought you recognition was a collection of photographs about prostitution here in Paris in the 70s. Mm-hmm. It's quite a brave project for a young American here in Paris in a different country.
Well, I didn't even think of it in those terms. I just had seen these women on the street. They fascinated me. They were beautiful. They were dressed in incredible costumes. They were made up. They were whispering at the men who walked by, and I wanted to know these women, and photographing them became a way of doing that.
And many times your photos show people suffering. You really seem to get into the heart of the situation that you're photographing. Do you ever have problems clicking the shutter?
I think there are always times in every story I've done where I can't take the picture. But at the beginning, it was because I was timid. I was too shy. For a long time now, it's because of my instincts, and I follow my instincts, and when I feel it's not the moment to take the photo, I don't do that, and I've never regretted that decision, I must say.
One of your collections is about female prisoners. You spent 10 years working on that. You went to more than 40 prisons. Mm-hmm. What interested you so much in that subject?
Well, I was intrigued by why women go to prison, and what I learned, and also, of course, how it is in prison for them, and what I learned is most women are in prison because of the men in their lives. Women are ignorant, and women are going to fall in love with a man who's in crime or who leads them into crime, and the woman will end up doing something that she never would have done on her own because of a man, or she'll be put on the street to be a prostitute by a pimp who is a man, or she will kill a man who was abusive to her because it was the only way for her to get out of the situation, etc., etc. And also, women are very ignorant about the law. So all of these things make it that women are in prison because they're uninformed.
Curiosity, this is what you said. Curiosity was the initial spur. Surprise, shock and bewilderment soon took over. Rage propelled me along till the end. Were you disgusted, horrified by what you found?
I was horrified by what I found and extremely angry. I mean, women are victims twice. They're victims because they performed a crime and they're doing prison time for it, but they're also not forgiven for having done a crime. Women are not supposed to be doing crimes. In lots of societies, men, it's a sign of a machisme for a man to say, oh, I did told that I was in prison. You know, he can rouler un peu la mécanique, as we say in French. With a woman, it's always a shameful thing for a woman to be locked up. In most prisons, there are no activities for women. There are no budgets that are larger, whereas it costs more to have a woman incarcerated than a man because of the maternity, because of the gynecological problems with women. Women come in off the streets, sometimes having never been to a doctor, and need to be cared for medically, and there's no budget for those things in women's prisons. All these things made me absolutely furious, and I needed to talk about it.
You went to prisons all over the world. Did you find a common denominator in the prisons? Because I'm sure they're very different. Lots of your photos show very different situations, but there's something that they all had in common?
Well, the ignorance of the women, as I already said. That's the common denominator.
Now, you do immerse yourself into the lives of your subjects, get very involved, like that of a prisoner who's on death row called Gail Owens in Tennessee.
Yes.
Tell us about her story and why you got so involved in it.
Okay, Gail Owens is a woman who is in my book. The book is called Too Much Time, Women in Prison, published by Phaidon in the year 2000. There's Gail now. And I knew it was absolutely important to have somebody who is on death row, a woman, in my book. I wouldn't have considered the book finished if I hadn't found at least one woman, because I had to say that women are also condemned to death, not just men. And I looked all over the place, and finally I approached this prison in Tennessee, and they said something remarkable. They said, well, we can't answer for our death row inmate. They had one death row inmate. It was Gail Owens. They said, if you come here, we'll let you meet with her, and she'll make the decision. If she wants to be in your book, then you can photograph her. This was pretty amazing. Usually a prison will never let you get near death row inmates. So I went all the way to Tennessee, and I met with Gail Owens, and I told her what I was doing. I told her the kind of book I wanted to do. And she said she wanted to be in the book because she thought it would help other women who were in the same position as she was in. So she didn't want me to tell the name of the prison. She didn't want me to tell her name. Those names are changed in my book. I followed her requests. And she's in the book. The photo that you saw here on the screen, these are her photos that were taken by the corrections at the time of her arrest. I can't speak English very well now. And her fingerprints, obviously. Anyway, beginning with that, every year we wrote to each other, usually around Christmas time, and we kept contact. And that was 12 years ago now, I guess, and she's 57 years old now. She had 2 small children at the time of the crime. When she was convicted, she did not testify in the courtroom. She did not want to testify because she thought it would save her children, her 2 sons, from knowing the terrible things she had to say about their father. So she didn't testify. So the idea of her being a battered woman was not even evoked in the courtroom. Now she has a group of lawyers who are trying to say, yes, but this woman is a battered woman. She should not be executed. Because in November, Gail wrote to me and told me that her appeals had ended and she was probably going to be up for execution. The Supreme Court of Tennessee was requested by the lawyers to commute her sentence to life. They have refused this request. They refused in April, and they set an execution date for Gail Owens. This date is September 28th, 2010. Then the lawyers put this petition online. It's in the site www.friendsofgail.com. You go in, sign the petition. There it is. And we've tried to get as many names as possible. At the beginning, we only had 3,000. Now it's up to practically 10,000, and the goal is 15,000 names. You can sign this petition from France, from all over Europe. It's very easy to do it. Go into that site, sign the petition if you think that the death penalty is an abomination, if you want to help this woman who is a battered woman and who did not receive fair treatment at the time of her crime. Please sign this petition for Gail Owens.
Okay, Jane Evelyn Atwood, thank you so much for joining us here on François and Kat. That website was friendsofgail.com if you want to go onto the website and see it. That's it for today's Culture Show. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, all of our shows are on our website at france24.com. We also have a Facebook page, so please do become a fan. I'll see you tomorrow.